You'll never know what hit you. Won't see me closing in. I'm gonna make you suffer. This how you put me in. I'm underneath your skin. The devil within. You'll never know what hit you.
Hello? Is anyone here? Is anybody watching? Nah, it's me. It's Michael from All Remaining Systems. We're here to do the discussion stream. We've been talking about doing this forever. And it's about time we finally just talk about how we accidentally made a good Star Wars story through role-playing games. Also, this is a really nice shirt. Just wanted to point that out because, you know, Jared's usually the one looking nice on here, so I had to one-up him tonight. Without further ado, I'm just going to bring folks in. Unfortunately, Dan and Alden could not make it tonight. However, we do have one special additional person we wanted to bring in here. So I'm going to bring in Jared. I'm going to bring in Jerry and our special guest, Scotty.
Lonnie
Gibstra, what?
That's right. Scotty
He's here.
Lanigero.
Scotty Lolly J. Hey, Michael,
Scotty
I want to
Lanigero.
say, before you start talking, us three, and including Dan and Alden as well, are forever in your debt for making us part of this wonderful experience that is Ionized Bastards. Because this would not have been a thing I wanted to be a part of if it wasn't for you. You're
Board
the sole
game?
reason. Yes, board game. If Jared had asked me, I would have told him no. If Jerry had asked me, I would have told him no. But Michael, I would say yes to you.
Well,
any day.
you
I
and
love
Jerry were technically both in one of the precursors to Ionized Bastards, which was that fiasco live stream we did
Yes.
back in
Years
ago. Jesus, that was 2021. Oh God, what a
I'm
time!
gonna look that up. I forgot
I was
about
still
that.
married.
Yeah,
I remember watching that. I watched that live.
yeah, that was wild. That
Wow.
was before we
Incredible.
were all like the great friends we are now. You were still just those YouTube guys that I vaguely associate with.
Well, I remember texting with
Wow.
Scotty backstage for that thing, being like, "Man, this Michael guy is pretty smart, but the rest of these bastards, I don't know."
But so I want to start this discussion. It's going to be generally pretty free form. We'll probably come to questions in the chat here in a bit, but for now we're just going to kind of start talking about how this show came to be, because like I said, there were a couple precursors to this. There was that fiasco stream back in the day.
November 22nd, 2021. I just found
Good
found
God.
the link.
And then there was a Christmas themed one that we did that's no longer available because it contains someone we no longer associate with. But that was an absolute blast. Yeah, it's a shame that I had to take that one down. But
that was a lot of fun. But yeah. Better to leave that one in the carbonite and down at the bottom of the deepest ocean world. So
yeah, maybe sometime this year, closer to Christmas, I'll post the little rhyming thing that I did for it because that was fun. But
Yeah, hop down the rabbit hole for that one.
yeah, but
Can't
I
catch the
wanted
meat.
to do
Sorry.
a Star Wars RPG series for a while, and I just kind of needed the right people to do it with, and then I kind of fell into this friend group here, and so post celebration
was us.
2022, we all kind of got together for this. So we'll go one at a time here. Jared, tell me about your RPG experiences prior to doing this show.
So it's so funny and it's so serendipitous, and it's one of those moments where it's like, oh yeah, this was supposed to happen. Up to this point, I had a very passing familiarity but admiration for RPG stuff, Dungeons and Dragons in particular. I had listened to a handful of D&D shows. Cosmonaut Tabletop was one I was super into. I listened to I actually didn't listen to that much of their Star Wars campaign. I was actually way more invested in their just straight up D&D show. Yes, indeed. But I was super fascinated by it, and I was like super on like D&D TikTok. Like I had like, oh, you know, and I had toyed around with like different character builds and stuff, but I had never gotten.
I like
Sheems
Sheems Fiends.
beautiful. But I had never gotten a chance to play it. And then Taylor, our the OG #1 fan, her this is her program.
Mhm, our Bloom and Miss Taylor may have to fight for #1 fan slots.
Yeah,
but
Really?
you gotta
I
remember
agree.
it's a triple threat. It's a triple threat because Eli has made fucking
Eli too. Yes, Eli has made his own
he's
music
made a
dedicated to
soundtrack
this.
for this
Yeah.
show. But yeah, so she had got, you know, she had dealt with a tremendous loss and was kind of in a place of like, I just want to watch this comfort thing and I want to show it to you in that moment. And it was the very first season of Dimension 20 Dropouts real play show, and showed me Fantasy High season 1. And I loved it. I fell in love with that form. I fell in love with the format. I fell in love just because it was one of those, like, I know what this storytelling, the storytelling capabilities of tabletop RPGs are. But watching it in real time with Dimension 20 was just incredible. It's like, wow, this is really good. And I think it was the day after we finished the first season of Fantasy High, you texted me. And you were like, hey, I was
Was
thinking
the
about...
timing really bad?
I like when I talk about it, when I'm like, it was right after, I am not being hyperbolic. I mean, it may have been within a 24-hour period of us finishing the
I did not know
season of
this.
Fantasy High, that you're like, hey, I want to do this, like, how would you be into it? And I was like, oh my god, I have to. I want to do it so badly.
And I think before we had done this, when we were doing sort of our proto RPG stuff back in like 2021, I had you lined up originally for like a murder mystery Star Wars RPG thing that I had run for some friends before.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think it was called like Senators in Secrecy or something like that.
Yes.
And then that ended up just never happening. And so we just did Ionized Basterds, which in and of itself went way differently how we planned it, because it was originally just supposed to be a one-off mini series. I thought it was going to be 5 or 6 episodes and then we move on to something else. And here we are almost 2 years later.
Yeah, and you know, I did that thing. You know, I see people talk about online with RPG stuff where it's like, if you're a newcomer to RPGs or you got into it through an actual play show, like, don't go into it thinking that every session is going to feel like an episode of Dimension 20 or Critical Role or NADPOD or, you know, like, don't.
There's
don't
what's known as the Matt Mercer effect in our RPG stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's deeply funny that I refused to take that advice, immediately started doing an RPG show.
Refused.
And
right.
Straight up.
And I'm glad I did that, because this is, like I said, I love the Nerd Academy. It's my baby. I made that with my friends, and I love competing in epic confrontations. I love where it started and what it's become. But I can say with my full chest, and Pro and Noob as well, that Ionized Basterds is the project that we've gotten to work on together that I am the most proud of, that I put on the highest pedestal. And it's all the way up there. And I love it so much.
That's beautiful. That's very sweet.
Jerry, you didn't have much RPG experience either prior to doing Bastards or these sort of proto streams that we've talked about, right?
No. So yeah, my experience prior. So I did actually. So I played D&D with some friends a long time ago, back when I used to go to church and everything. I went over for a church night, and it was just all.
Did you play a cleric of God?
No, I played something similar to what my actual D&D character is in our friend D&D.
Yeah.
Except for, you know, maybe less like horny and stuff with the say, you know.
He plays a tiefling, for the record.
Yeah, I play a tiefling. But anyway, So I was in the Proto Stream, and I was in that Christmas one with that Wascally Wabbit, and I didn't really do anything prior to any of that, and so it really truly has been our friend D&D that we do behind the scenes sometimes and stuff. Which again, I need to get back into that because
it's been a minute since we've done.
I'm ready for another game, y'all. It's been a minute. But
I need to
doing
dust
this
off
show.
Wiki.
You got to dust them off. But see, doing Basterds has really made me kind of fall in love with tabletop gaming and things like that. Like I've only done a little bit. I think I played like some friend was making like a tabletop zombie survival game in college. I played a little bit of that, but yeah, just that this is what has truly made me kind of fall in love with the role playing and doing all of this, like this tabletop gaming. And I just have to say that Michael McCoy needs to write an actual Star Wars story sometime in his entire life. Lucasfilm, Swagman, my man. Put the tissues away. Put the tissues away. Stop sending people tissues and just send a contract to Michael McCoy. That's what we need to do right now. So, but yeah.
We can get into it here in a bit, but I don't like taking credit for Basterds being the success that it is because, like I said, I would just write a very generic Star Wars thing. It would not be what it is without you guys and your character and story choices. But Scotty, I want to talk to you about it as well. You also, I don't think had any RPG experiences before that fiasco thing, right?
I put it in the chat. Jerry was one of the first RPG characters I ever played with, and his character's name was Blasto Dildar.
Yeah.
And my character's name was Lieutenant Feebom Badcast III. And I'm glad that
I forgot about that blast.
I need you to know after because I watched that stream. I watched that fiasco stream live, and I spent the entire week after just saying to myself under my breath, just Feebom Adcast. Like I just say it because I was so entertained by
my character was Try Eyes because I had to be on brand.
Yes. Had to.
Wasn't Feebom Adcast? Wasn't that based off our spam ads that we were getting?
Yeah, that's your emails.
Some bullshit or something. Yeah.
Feebom Adcast. So I put in the chat. I don't know if it'll go through. I put in the chat if anyone wants to go back and watch the fiasco Escape from Cloud City. It's like a very small version of what Michael has pulled off these last two seasons, but
basically it's what I originally thought season 1 of Basterds was going to be.
It was ice. So I was gonna say in terms of obviously what Michael's done and what we do together as a team, and I'm very lucky to say that when it comes to this stuff, I've never had experience. Happy to have experience now. Obviously, I want to expand my experience and do more stuff as well in that realm. And I know Michael has other things in the works. We're not going to spoil anything here, but I know we talked about it on air whenever I first appeared, but Michael had asked me to be, or we kind of figured out that I can be involved in some capacity around the time of my wedding. And I had to keep it a secret from wedding till God, when was it? It was until like
when you didn't, which I think there are enough people who are like in the Bastards milieu. Like I know I can almost guarantee Bloom has not heard this story. I can almost guarantee Mitch from Comic Book Cast, who also loves the show, has not heard this story. If you would like to tell your side of it, Scotty, I think it would be very entertaining.
If it's the story about how we lied and gaslit you about Scotty being in Bastards, we have told that on air. That is
it was. I couldn't.
That has made it into a couple episodes. So,
but I'll tell you this much: Michael and I, when we had the conversation of including Lottie into this, we got on the phone for like 45 minutes to an hour, and I was eating crabs. My cousin had just brought us some fresh blue crabs and had been boiled, and I was just on the phone dipping my crabs in butter. It was beautiful. And Michael was like, "What's his name? What's his motivation? What's it going to be like?" And Michael kind of went.
And I enjoyed it because, as a DM, one of the most frustrating things is when you come up with all this stuff and you're like, "Great, it's going to be another 6 months before any of my players hear any of this," and so it's just boiling inside of you. You want to know. You want to be able to share this with the people you love dearly, and they're the people you have to keep it from the most. And so I was able to info dump to Scotty. I'm like, here's the Doxos Syndicate. This is
Told
their
me the whole
history.
thing.
Vera Doxos is gonna come in, like all this shit. Like,
And then when Michael came and visited me back in May, the end of May this year, he told me the full ending of the season. He told me what the battle was going to be like. I knew all of it.
Yeah, you knew about Halix having the lightsaber.
All of it. I knew all.
That was the scariest thing because Michael loves to just get in our fucking heads. He does a great job of it. Like I want to make one thing abundantly clear: the Jared's paranoid delusions corner. That is not a bit. That is not kayfabe. That is not showmanship.
Yeah.
No.
Michael will get like this is back. I was working at this one bar at the beginning of the year, around when we started the season, and I think one night Michael got like 8 voice messages from me when I'd go outside and have my smoke break, and my mind just started buzzing. And I went back and I looked. I called a lot of shit purely based on me being absolutely paranoid.
Yeah.
The sheer paranoia has guided me so well.
Well, hold on.
Show.
The best part about that too is on the other side of that coin, he's sending messages about like, you know, his paranoia of it. But I'm sending in one of our group chats this phrase "board game" because I was trying to throw off the scent that I was even involved. You can pull it up, Michael. I put it in the chat.
Yeah, you were like, "Are y'all playing this dumb board game tonight?"
And there was at one moment where I was texting when I knew I was going to appear. I'm like, "Are y'all done with the stupid board game? I want to hang out." And then literally, Michael brings me on screen. Oh man, this is so much fun.
And with Jared's like paranoid delusions too, like that really starts with the Hawk Scuff stuff back in season 1.
Oh yeah,
because that was when you were like,
so
hold on, I brought the meme in the. This was Jared in that moment when he's like, wait, it's not just flavor? Oh fuck.
Well, so if I could tell that story from my perspective, like to set the table a little bit, whenever we were creating Fabian, because I don't know why I thought that you were like scoundrels, no force users. And I went into it. I'm like, okay, I really got to stretch my muscles here because, like, if I'm left to my own devices,
the reason
always
you may have thought that
to use the force
is because with the Fantasy Flight game system, which we were originally using, it is split into 3 like categories: it's Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, Force and Destiny, that are all technically the same game, but they're different focus. And I said our focus was going to be the Edge of the Empire, which is the more scum and villainy side. So that's probably why you were thinking that way.
Yeah, and I went in and I was like, well, if I could, I'd like to play a force user. And we're like, okay, cool. So then we started building Fabian and kind of like building him outwards. And like, it's so funny. Just a little bit of table setting that will explain this. Like, because we went in there and this loops back into the accidentally making a great Star Wars story. Because we went in and I was like, the joke was Green Goblin with a lightsaber. That was the initial pitch. The initial pitch was,
you said directly to me, borderline Starkiller parody.
Yeah, because it was like it's going to be this overcomplicated tragic backstory. You know,
he's your Asherad het.
Yeah. I was like, you know, he was this, and then he was this, and then he was that, and then he was this, and now he's here, and now he's this. And he's met all of these important characters, but it doesn't fucking matter. It's all like you said, it's Star Killer parody almost. And when we were like, okay, so how are we going to set this up? You had the idea of like, because I was like, oh, he's a prize fighter, you know, like this whole idea that like this is what he does now. It's like all he knows is violence anymore. And the whole idea of like the story will start because you were in a prize fight and something of a Dark Jedi myself. Fabian's on sabbatical, honey.
He looked at Hawk's Cuff and said, I'm going to rectify certain inequities.
There's your hand.
And then he looked at Halix and said, betrayal must not be countenanced.
Bangers, every single quote, every line of dialogue from Willem Dafoe. But you were like, okay, so Hawk Scuff, he's this guy that you fought in the pit that you lost control while fighting. And he clearly yielded. The fight should have ended. and Fabian couldn't stop. Was how you set it up. And then again,
And pretty much the only reason that initially existed was just so that you had an in with Thawbor. That was it.
Yeah. And then, but again, and I'm sure you're going to say nice things about it. My inability to not make it more and more complicated to the point of parody. I was like, no, it wasn't just Fabian lost control of the ring. It was personal. This Hawk Scuff guy worked with the Empire, and he was helping hunt Jedi, and he brought Fabian into the Inquisitorius, and then I'm like, oh, and actually he killed Fabian's boyfriend, and it's just snowballing and becoming more and more personal, and then we arrive at fucking, Hawk Scuff actually hired these guys, and then I have a full-blown panic attack in the middle of an episode because of it. I'm like, oh God, I put the whole party in danger. They're after me. Because I'm thinking, like, he has it out for me, and he's working with this ex-Imperial. So, like, if it's an ex-Imperial and a guy who freelanced for the Empire, clearly they know I was an Inquisitor. So now I have to tell the party I was an Inquisitor. And I didn't have to. Like, I think that's one of my favorite things about that.
Well,
is
it made the twist that he doesn't
had to tell the truth.
It's the twist that he didn't even know who you were that I think stings the most in that whole situation.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like the banality of evil, and like
I think that could have been the ultimate moment for Fabian to lose control and to fully give into the dark side. And I think that was the first moment he chose to rise above it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think for Fabian, like, every time that he like actively rejects the dark side early on, I think it's born out of him not consciously choosing the light so much as it's a moment of there are bigger fish to fry, and slowly realizing that the reason there are bigger fish to fry is him just going, there are people in the room who are important to me that I could jeopardize if I engage in the very like bloodthirsty bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Jerry, with 40, you originally had a very different character. So here's a little fun behind the scenes story about Jerry.
Yes.
Jerry was supposed to be in the show from episode 1.
Yeah.
However, Jerry had computer issues that put him out of commission for a couple weeks.
Yep. I spilled a Long Island on my laptop. Yeah.
I didn't know that was because of that. I didn't realize that.
Or maybe that was the champagne. I don't know. It was one of those.
In either case, it was.
I'm an alcoholic. Is what I'm
Jerry. Jerry had an entirely different character originally, like fully made, had a character sheet and everything, which 40 ended up being very similar stat wise anyway. The original character you had, Jerry, was a guy who had his throat ripped out by a Nexu, and so he couldn't talk, and so you were just gonna always be like.
A very like pained whisper, like that made no sense. And the I remember there was gonna be, because I don't know if you remember, Scotty, we had talked about how you were gonna be in the first episode with me.
Yes, Scotty was always going to be the first guest. He was going to be your translator.
That's right.
He was going to be
killed as soon as the attack on the nest starts.
As soon as like Scotty dies, like within the first 10 minutes, and then like they're stuck.
I forgot about
going.
That's so fucking funny, man.
It's
that is hilarious.
And I mean, I guess thankfully that didn't happen, because what ended up happening is I didn't even know what exactly I wanted to do with 40 at the very beginning, but we've all kind of talked about how 40 has kind of, over the course of the 2 seasons, almost become like the child of the group, or like the heart.
He's the heart
as
of
well,
the story,
the center of the crew. There, the character that ends up kind of pulling out really human moments from like the hardened Thabor Sheems, or the I'm too dark to get close to anybody, Fabian Martel, my 2 dads, as I like to call them, and then my adopted Gungan brother Zuzo. And so I know that come on, it wasn't that bad. It honestly,
like I said, we didn't know what we had with
I should have.
Basterds. when we started.
It was gonna be another Blasto Dildar. Unfortunately, and so
I am all for
Ooh,
just
rocket
arming
launcher
40
boat?
to the teeth.
I would
yeah.
love that. I would love that.
I think 40 kind of like once we got the whole party together and once people's backstories started getting incorporated with Hawk Scuff and with Castor Angel, that's when I think we started realizing, oh, we've got something here. Like, and I think it was we just kept bumbling our way into, oh, this is actually kind of a good Star Wars story, down to the season 1 finale with Thalbor getting kidnapped is very season 1 of Rebels. Like,
oh my god, like it like that. We have to go rescue him. Like, and again, and it is a running joke that I back-to-back seasons have made a buck wild tactical decision at the end of the season and pull a win out of my ass after just absolutely shitting the bed. But like, if there's one of those, like, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it because the story, it was made better. Like we fucked up and made it better.
Yeah,
like,
the original plan for the finale was just going to be you guys have to go stop Salvage and maybe rescue Donric. Like, and then making it so much more personal with Thalbor, because y'all didn't give a fuck about Donric for the most part in season 1, and still to an extent, but
look, we like that lawyer guy. He's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, and Taylor made a joke in here where Taylor has made it no secret that her favorite character is Thalbor Sheems. I am, of 4 characters in the party, her 3rd favorite. And we live together. We are in a very long-term relationship. Absolutely shitting the bed to victory. You're right. He's the Force's favorite idiot. Coleman Trevor died, and Fabian Martell rose to that promise. But no, like, and it was so funny because like she was like, if you let Thalbor die, like, I'm breaking up with you. If something happens to Thalbor, like, I'm kicking you out. And this is like right after we moved in together, where she looked me in my eyes and was like, if anything happens to Thalbor, I'm kicking you out. And it was like right after that joke is made for the first time, Thalbor is KO'd and kidnapped by Salvage
due to a plan of your own devising.
It was fully my fault. It was fully my fault. And again, I will say, I am not the only person who misunderstood Michael, but we did not understand what you had said. Salvage is boots on the ground near like Donric's little office area. I'm 4 behind Jim. Love it.
Jim. You're not saying it right.
Jim.
But thank you, Bloom. But well, you were like, oh, he's boots on the ground. He's in this area. I'm thinking like, oh, Salvage's forces are combing the area, and Salvage is out here. And no, fully wrong. Salvage was right there, and we sent Thalbor to die, and it was a miracle he survived.
Well, as I've said a lot behind the scenes, if you had sent Thalbor with anyone, sent anyone with Thalbor, Hawk Scuff would not have tried the 2 comlinks thing. But because you sent Thalbor by himself specifically, he was able to pull that off. But yeah, like I said, we like when you made Fabian, we didn't have like an arc in mind. It was just supposed to be just a parody of power fantasy. And with 40, you were just like, oh, it'd be funny if an assassin droid was kind of like childish, like it wasn't really,
just like this the brain of a child in the body of a killer. yeah.
And I
said
really
was like, let me make a Saul Goodman parody. Like it all started, like all of these characters started as bits.
Even on my end, Salvage, the idea was originally just droid Davy Jones. He was just going to be a pirate who had a droid crew because he just collected them over the years from scrap yards and shit. That was it. And so that was the origin of the name Salvage to begin with. So, but yeah, season 2 was, we kind of realized what we had. We upped the stakes a little bit.
A little.
I felt more obligated to come up with something.
For a brief moment, I was dead. A little.
I almost 40 almost died at the beginning of the season,
and I did die. I actually died.
Lonnie straight up got atomized. We were making jokes about how there were pieces of you on us and stuff. I think in the next episode.
But yeah, like season 2 took me kind of a while to figure out what I wanted to do with it because I felt the pressure of season 1. I was like, oh, we did something kind of good and I don't want to like disappoint. And so it took like the original idea I had was that before I came up with the Doxo Syndicate or any of that, you were going to be like helping a New Republic senator, only to find out that his motives were like very ill-intentioned and he would like secede from the New Republic and form his own little corner of the galaxy and you would have to stop him or some shit like that. I'm glad I didn't go that way because I feel like this way there was so much more emotional investment. It felt a lot more natural. But the kind of like the original starting point for all of this was Jax Kalen's lightsaber. From the beginning, that was always going to be a part of season 2.
God. And and it makes me so happy because, like, you know, I've talked about this a lot in my own like Star Wars discussions on DNAP, and you know, I think there is always so much symbolic resonance you can extract from a lightsaber. Like it is a weapon unique in fiction that is always a perfect like mirror image of the character who owns it. And like all of the emotional weight with it, and I like that decision that it all came back to, like what is Fabian willing to do to get this sword back from?
And also, like, what emotions will that bring out of him by reminding him of a life he once had and who he once was, and all of that, and how much has he really changed since, you know, his lowest point on the nest or as an inquisitor? Like, because originally it was going to be incorporated in that New Republic senator would have been like, and here's a token of goodwill to get you started on this mission, and he would give you the lightsaber hilt. And obviously I found a way to make that way worse.
Oh god, I don't even know how I would have handled that, like as the player of like it starts to represent it takes such a different representation from that route. You know, like here, like it's Fabian, like it's almost like the Force is rewarding Fabian with that sword for choosing mercy in a way, you know, because like had Fabian killed Halex, the sword, like it's different if he's literally picking these weapons off of her corpse. It's very different than I defeated you and I'm reclaiming these. So for Fabian to almost receive that lightsaber as blood money, I think there's almost a moment for Fabian where he has to then reject it. If we take the same route of him like kind of slowly coming back around. Oh God, I don't know how I feel. I'm gonna be thinking about that all goddamn night.
Yeah, like I said, I'm glad I didn't end up going that way, but that eventually transitioned into the idea of Halex as the final boss for the season, and I thought still it was going to be like the Fabian Martell yellow eyes lose control moment.
I thought that was it. I was waiting for it, honest to God.
And I thought that was going to be the real, like, come to Jesus, have I really changed, or am I always damned to follow this road of the dark side? But that really ended up being the Death Chemist fight. That wasn't even the...
I will say this much. Had Fabian not gotten KO'd when he did, I think I might have gone now, like, that there would have been a moment where he learns the wrong lessons. You know, where he'd have gone, okay, I'm trying to do this like a Jedi would, and it's not working. And then yellow eyes, lightning and shit, where it's like, I like to protect them, I have to unmake you to protect them. But again, it's like Fabian's brush with death that like made that moment. I'm like, oh, everything has to happen exactly this way right now.
And Jerry, you had a near-death experience near the start of the season during the Pod Race Royale, which Scotty knew all about and was setting you up for perfectly.
I want to say one thing to that. The whole point of my character, for those that don't know, because I haven't actually had a chance to talk about this yet. Lonnie was a piece of shit. That's the whole point. I wanted to make a character that was not any, like, completely opposite of me.
And that's kind of the way everyone started.
Well,
Yeah.
except for Jerry.
Well, but no, there was some moments where I'm like, what would be the opposite of what this whole crew would want me to do? And I'm like, kill the Wookiees, or I'm obsessed with the Triffians, and I'm like all these things that genuinely don't matter. I'm making a big deal, and he was a pretty unhinged dude. I don't know. Lonnie was a great guest character to kick this whole thing off, because then we had some other
I agree.
pretty good surprises later, honestly.
Yeah, and I think it plays into some of the themes that we accidentally create. Like we didn't. Jared and I have talked about this a lot. We don't think about the themes more often than not as we go into it. They just sort of naturally form, especially because I think all of us have such an inherent understanding of Star Wars that just through making Star Wars stories, those themes tend to bleed through.
Yeah.
In that, really kind of, if you were to ask me what the prevalent theme of Basterds is, it's breaking cycles. Breaking cycles
like
of darkness, of cycles of hate, cycles of abuse, all of that the galaxy inflicts upon you. Because, Fabian has been through the ringer more than most. Thobor has been complicit in it more than anyone in the party. Zuso has been ambivalent toward it. And 40, in a way, it comes from like a broken home and all of this. And so I think by the time of season 2, most of the Bastards are, to some extent, trying to rise above the cycles that they came from. They've broken out of it or are trying to break out of it. Yeah. And I think Lonnie represents just not giving a fuck. Just being
kind of right in with the Bastards on day one.
Yes, on the
where
nest.
Where it is this again, you have the scumbag lawyer who's constantly making excuses for defending literal war criminals in court. Again, the vagrant, Gungan, who's just like, fuck it. And again, you have like Mr. Blood Money over here, who instead of trying to fix anything about himself, was like, what if I make money with the dark side? you know?
Yeah, there's and Salvage sort of represents an inability to break out of that cycle of being so kicked down from the galaxy, so downtrodden that you just release that rage and re-inflict it back on the galaxy tenfold. Salvage is an inability to escape one's darkness.
Absolutely. And I think that plays really well into, and this is a conversation you and I had pre-season 2, where it was like the beauty of Salvage, and again the beauty of us just bumble fucking into telling a really good Star Wars story, is this idea that Salvage, like on individual levels, is a reflection of the worst parts of the Bastards.
Yes, and that was something I did not plan, and it's also something I didn't plan for season 2 that you pointed out to me.
It got much
that
deeper.
Was that might be my proudest moment of our off-air conversations. But Salvage has that kind of like the galaxy sucks, so fuck it attitude that Thobor has. He has the capacity for violence that 40 could have, but chooses not to.
And also the experience of being a droid displaced in a different body, literally being out of place, like persisting in a way that he shouldn't, almost.
Right.
Or in a way that's unfair.
Really against nature. Yeah, against his nature. Yeah.
He benefits from the same just cycles of fuck it that Zuso did, and he has the same bloodlust that Fabian did at a time. Like it is all of the worst parts of this group put into one horrifically violent being.
Salvage is what any of you could have been if you had just given in to whatever cycles you got caught up in. And in a way, we sort of repeat those themes with season 2 because Jerry and Scotty, I don't think have heard this. So Jared, why don't you lay out how you pointed out to me how I accidentally made the anti-Bastards in season 2.
Yeah, all the villains in season 2 are like literally the
there are one-to-ones to the.
Can I try to call him?
Please.
Okay. What was the
blew my mind when he said this to me?
What was the Mandalorian's name again?
Drock Wraith.
I have a few names I call him, but
Drock Wraith
Oh, real quick,
I think
just as we're
is
talking about Drakwraith, I just need to say, and everybody on screen will agree, Taylor, honey, I love you. That motherfucker deserved every second of it.
oh, he did. He
Yeah.
was terrible.
Listen,
Piece
He was-
of
40 doesn't
shit.
40 doesn't believe in violence and everything, but that bastard deserved to die.
I am never going to apologize again for taking off his helmet. I am never going to feign.
He
Would
deserved it.
Drakwraith
He
be
doesn't
like?
deserve to see heaven.
Would Drakwraith be like Faben? Is that? Am I right on that one? No,
No.
not quite. Then hold on, wait. It's someone because Drakwraith is obviously ruthless, but also
I think
very
there's certainly-
dogmatic.
I
Very
think there's an
dogmatic.
extent that you can argue that Drakwraith is Faben, but Jared, why don't you justify?
I want to hear. Yeah, I want to hear this one.
No.
So the way I
He
mapped it
deserves
out
hell.
was Viradoxos is Thalbor.
Hmm.
They're both these like genius level like movers and shakers who operate in this space. They are very clearly not the muscle of any operation, but boy, do they know how to employ the muscle.
Which is funny because originally I thought she would have the most parallel with Faben, given that they both, lost the love of their life and
Makes sense.
descended into darkness because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Halex Sliefel is Faben because she is the warrior assassin, kind of like honor bound in some like weird, fucked up, macabre way. He deserved it. I was right. Hashtag Faben was right. Hashtag Drakwraith can suck
Yes, he
on these
deserved to
nuts.
die.
And I hope he burns in hell.
But
yeah,
Halex
so-
also had like a complete devotion to Vera, and so the kind of way that Faben has such the guardian mentality with the other bastards,
exactly.
I think is the major parallel between those two. And then the Zuso equivalent would be the death chemist, someone who just uses their technical knowledge, their capacity to do like genius level things in a complete just fuck it attitude,
It was the
Yeah.
other cyborg Gungan that was the.
I mean, Goru, I think Goru's not even really on the side of Vera and all that.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And then we said,
I think we said Drak was 40.
yeah.
I don't remember the exact reason why. I mean, obviously
'cause
being a
it's,
skill.
It's,
Tried to
it
kill
is
me.
it's like the skilled warrior who, again, like kind of has a cause, but like they have a really weird relationship with how they got there, kind of.
Yeah.
And that, 4D has this like dedication to his friends, and Drakwraith, it's all about his honor
Yeah.
and, all of the Mandalorian Creed stuff. But at the end of the day, they're both they could both be just these kind of like metalloid vehicles of violence and it's because like each one of them like represent like a weird parallel of like at your worst you could be like this.
Ooh, I like that. That is okay. That's fair.
And I didn't plan for any of that shit.
No,
I just
no,
made
no.
some cool
So I
bad
pointed
guys.
it out after what?
Don't lie, you genius.
Don't
Don't lie. If you are justice, do not lie.
No, I just made Vera because I thought having a female Evereni villain would be kind of cool. And then I also because I wanted more female NPCs because there were like almost none in season 1.
There was
And
one
I-
and they were a secretary.
Yeah, and I was like, oh,
Ooh.
that's a bad look. I
Season
need
one did
to...
not pass the Bechdel test.
No, it does not pass the Bechdel test. I don't even know if season 2 does, if I'm being honest. But
Just look at the screen right now. No.
but
Taylor
need to
yelled
hashtag do
something and I
better,
couldn't
but-
tell what it was.
That's something we're working on. That I can tell you that for a fact. That's something that's being
Yes.
worked on right now. Yeah.
but
Yeah, kick me out.
yeah, Halex was kind of designed around one of my favorite archetypes of characters, which is like the incredibly competent and capable henchman, like the ultimate right-hand man. I think Scotty is the only one in this stream that will get this reference, but like the inspiration was Ray from The Gentleman. That kind of like very formal, like incredibly capable.
Uh-huh.
I love that archetype so much, and so that's where kind of Halex came in.
Mhm.
And then the Death Chemist was a late edition. That was one I didn't have
God,
going
one of the
into the
best ones.
season. Even
God, Michael told me about that realization later. I remember
Yeah.
you telling me all about the Death Chemist one night. Such a cool idea.
and
Rest in peace.
Drock was originally going to be like a persistent threat. It wasn't you would fight him once and then he would escape, and then he'd come back later to keep going after 40, and we would deal with the parents' plot later in the season. And then Fabian did insane damage on him in a single turn, and then 40 got a nat 20 to take out his jetpack. So
You don't mess with the kid. Never.
Nope.
No,
Never.
No, I sent. There was this really funny meme on TikTok I saw where it was like definitely referring to like normal gaming. It was like it was this edit of like career long LeBron highlights set to like that, like the Future and Metro Boomin song.
Yeah.
And it was like my performance in this one match that meant absolutely nothing. And I sent it to Michael and I said, me against Drock Wraith, and then never again for the rest of season 2. Like it was like it like in that one fight, Fabian became the power fantasy joke. Like Fabian like turned into Galen fucking Merrick for 5 minutes.
Jesus.
And he eviscerated this Mandalorian without breaking a sweat. And then the rest of the season was like, hey, can I hit the accolade that's laying on the ground? No. Hey, can I break out of a rope? Can I cut the rope? Nat 1.
Hey,
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
You tried to Malaysia Halex while you were in the rope. That's why you got dunked on. And Miss Taylor was very nice about reminding you how you done fucked up.
Yeah. She did think I was a goner for a minute.
Fuck.
I said Galen Merrick.
Yeah, you said Galen Merrick and Buck showed up.
Incredible.
And Scotty was obviously our first guest character. We would be remiss to not shout out the one and only Boop, who did incredible work as Jim. Just such an incredible breath of fresh air after such the dark moment with the Tevin encounter.
Had Giam not showed up like right after that, like it seriously would have been just like a somber affair through the
legitimately.
It was so funny, and I say, and I love this because most of this show is like, and I think it's part of what makes it so funny. If I can make a comparison, you know, people are always talking about like, hey, they should remake this movie, but it's the Muppets and only one character is still a human. Sometimes that's how the party feels with Fabian. And it's made even funnier by the fact that he is the only human in the party. That like sometimes like the bits get so out of control that you have this like brooding anti-hero who wants to be better, like mourning the loss of his lover, his order, and his humanity. And then you get Thawbor and 40's like, okay, now listen here, bud. Like where like Thawbor goes full Jack fucking Nicholson. And
Every time. I love it.
And he's trying to convince like 40's like, so we're gonna change your programming so you can say pussy fart. And it's like and like that's the direction it's going. And David is just like having like a full Batman monologue to his own helmet. And I love that because the Tevin moment was the first time I cried doing this show. Yeah. I was so upset, and I had a moment where I was like, Jared, the player, is going to make Fabian be a violent lunatic because I, the real person, am angry with the Death Chemist. And then Jim shows up, and it's so funny. And like you said, it is so necessary because it's such a fucking downer.
And it was so funny because it was another product of just sort of accident where I was trying to figure out how to make this work because we were having some scheduling issues at the time. Boop was originally going to show up the episode before.
And I kept texting Michael asking, when is Boop going to show up?
Yeah.
When is something? I'm like, because I had heard about it for months.
Mm-hmm. And originally, you know, Boop was going to be the one to like lead you into the Death Chemist factory. He was going to be like one of like Donrick's contacts or something like that. Or they would have gotten like a distress call from Jim because of union laws or some shit. And So that episode before was kind of just me padding for time, which is why we ended up getting like the Kane Zerat encounter, which was also very funny. And then originally I was going to do the Tevin stuff post death chemist fight as a way to really solidify like the dangerousness of the Doxos Revenge. But I was like, tonally, how can I make this work? I was still trying to figure all that out. And so by, this product of scheduling, I was like, oh, I can just move the Tevin stuff before the death chemist, and now everything works perfect.
It works so much better, honestly. It really does.
Well, I got a text from Taylor. Oh, sorry, Jerry. Say what you were going to say.
I was gonna say I have to say that listen, I don't want to put any pressure on them, but I don't think I'm the only one who wants GM to come back, and I don't think I was the only one calling for GM to just join the crew. Okay, so I'll just say,
as much as I enjoy playing GM as an NPC, I don't know if I can do it as well as our lovely Boop.
Boop. If Boop is ever willing, I think we were all just ready to just say hell yeah if GM wants to join the Bastards for like.
If the Bastards need their turlets fixed, then GM
we gotta get the turlets fixed. We gotta get them turlets fixed.
Turlets.
In case anybody is wondering, hey, Taylor just started chanting "Jam, jam, jam, jam" from the living room. I'm trying to find it. Taylor wanted me to call attention to this, as Michael predicted that I would get motherfucked by Taylor for my tactical decisions.
I knew it was the exact moment that Taylor would.
While we were watching the season finale, it was right after she had broken her ankle, and we was like, "Okay, let's watch it. Let's do the thing." And she paused it and went on a protracted tirade about how Fabian brought this on himself. And how in the moments where Fabian, I'm trying to find the meme and I can't, but how like Fabian is like fading in between life and death. And during that time, while he's like kind of briefly bursting into Force Heaven, that Taylor decided that it should be Mace Windu who greets Fabian at death's door and is like,
"Oh my god!"
It is like, "You stupid motherfucker, you died like a bitch," I think is how she phrased it, and made a meme of like a Mace Windu Force Ghost meme. Oh, she found it.
Oh,
I hear her yelling at me from the other room. You died like a bitch.
Taylor's about to kick in the door.
I'm going to text it to Michael so he can put it on the screen because it's so fucking funny. Like, again, all hell is breaking loose in this episode, and then she is just as Mace Windu cussing me out in our living room because I kind of screwed the pooch. But
well, the thing with Jared is Jared always acts from the heart, and one of the best examples is
I don't know why I was
he
laughing.
Gives, and this is the one part that drove me crazy watching this episode, when he just volunteers to give Jim a gun after meeting Jim for 0.2 seconds. It's like, we should give this fucker a gun. And that never made any sense to me. I remember Thawbor being like, no, like, we don't even know this person. Just because they're endearing doesn't mean they're a good person.
No, because they were in danger. They were following us into battle against a lunatic with a bioweapon.
Need to give. You barely knew this person. You know Boop pretty well.
In all fairness, Fabian can probably take an Ugnaught with a gun pretty easy.
That's what I said.
Whatever.
I didn't give them my good gun. I had basically like the heavy repeater from Jedi Outcast and Battlefront, the one that like shoots like the purple like energy bolt when you charge it. I had one of those. I gave Jim the little fucking pea shooter so that they could shoot at a battle droid if they had to.
Yeah. Gave Jim the noisy cricket.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. I just think it's a terror. I agree. Look, Taylor, no, Scotty is right. I know I'm right. Oh my god, no way. That's what he would have said the second Fabian appeared in God, Force Heaven,
Force Valhalla.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
And then he would say mediocre.
There was like Coyote movie, just awkward silence. Oh, and I need to say, just based on like when we record Ionized Bastards is literally the funniest thing. Because Alden isn't here, I need to call attention to what I think might be the funniest thing he ever did on air on this show. Because it was whenever Halex shows up and you're like, and she is wielding 2 lightsabers, and you're like teeing up that I clearly recognize them. Alden, to be funny, goes, "Oh, is it Coyote-Mundi's? Because this is right after Coyote-Mundi Gate. This is
Oh,
right
yeah.
after Coyote-Mundi Gate."
Yeah, it was like the week we recorded that.
Fresh.
And he's like, "Oh, they're Coyote-Mundi's lightsaber." And then Alden starts laughing because he remembers the bit of my own fan service for Fabian is that Fabian was on my Guido with Coyote-Mundi
That's
on
right.
66. Because again, as Michael knows, I'm like, if I'm gonna give him a backstory, I need to know what he had for lunch on Tong's Day. So like, so I was
And in
very
fact,
geeked up.
we'll circle back here in just a second to an updated backstory thing you tried to do that I had to change to keep the twist at the end. But keep going.
Oh no, but like so again, if you go back to it's like the end of the penultimate episode when Alden's like, "Oh, is it Coyote-Mundi's? Oh, fuck, it could be." This just made me laugh so fucking hard.
No, but you had sent that updated backstory maybe like halfway through season 2.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you talk your shit. I'm sorry.
I can't remember what the catalyst of it was. Oh, I know. It was when you first discovered that Aurochs was salvaged, and he dropped the Uda Power Naboo line, and you're like, "What the fuck happened to my backstory on Naboo?" And I was like, "That's where originally like you like let Argo Kalen go or something like that." And you're like, "Was it?" And we pulled back the original files, and it's like, "Yeah, you wrote Naboo." And you're like, "I don't remember that at all. I need to update this shit."
Yeah, so I was like, so I started like so I was like, okay, we're gonna have this like down to the letter, like, because there were some things that I was like, I left vague. Hashtag Jarkai, baby. There were a couple things I left vague so that you could play around in those waters, and very much like the meme you showed earlier, I was like, okay, it might behoove us to.
You thought
that
Fabian being an Inquisitor might never come up originally.
Yeah. And once it was like, oh, there's an ex-Imperial working with Hawk Scuff, I was like, time to spill my guts, because it might be more dangerous if cards aren't on the table here. I had like basically like written in stone, this is Fabian Martell's origin story. Basically from the issuance of Order 66 up to the beginning of the show. And part of that came in because we were talking about maybe doing flashbacks while Fabian was meditating with the crystal. Was part of that. And I had brought up this idea that, and to give a peek behind the, like, Fabian, not his full backstory, because that will be a whole episode of it in and of itself, but the kind of abridged version of it is after Order 66, Fabian is in hiding with a number of Jedi, including Jax Kalen and Argo Kalen. Jax he falls in love with. Argo is Jax's little brother. The Empire comes knocking. They kind of kick down the door. It's kind of like early stages of the Inquisitorius, so they're still kind of like hiring on Jedi hunters to help with this shit. So Hawk Scuff is one of the people who comes in. Hawk Scuff fights dirty, kills Jax. Fabian is incapacitated while some of those other Jedi are able to make it out, including Argo. Flash forward several years, Fabian's still an Inquisitor, and he comes across another group of Jedi, including Argo. Fabian makes it look like he killed those Jedi and kills some of the Purge troopers with him to make it look good. Very Vader at the beginning of Force Unleashed. And
Jared likes the Force Unleashed, in case anyone here didn't know.
Just a little.
Maybe. But he lets Argo get away, and then Fabian is excommunicated from the Inquisitorius when the Grand Inquisitor finds this out, wrangles up the Jedi he let go, and then Fabian has to basically go toe-to-toe with the Grand Inquisitor to protect these Jedi. And in that, I had noted specifically that the Grand Inquisitor, when he confronts Fabian about this, has Jax's lightsaber with him. Because I don't even remember the reason, but like he has the lightsabers there, mostly to taunt Fabian. Mm-hmm. And Michael chimes in
Well, so from my perspective, Jared sends this to me. I'm reading that, and I get to that line, fully knowing what I have planned for the end of the season. And I go, God damn it, fuck. And I'm like texting Scotty. I'm like, fuck. I need to talk him out of this without giving away what the ending of the season is gonna be. And so I had to, in the most subtle way, be like, so I want to retcon one aspect of that because it plays into a headcanon I had about season 1. Which is technically true.
Yeah. You did not lie to me that Huckscuff had it to sell the lightsabers, and I was like, "Oh man, Huckscuff is such a piece of shit." Sure, and it's one of the, and I think it's one of the funniest things is that and then
you tried to, you had tried to come back around and be like, "Oh, what if Hawk used that in the fight against me on the nest?" And I'm like, well, at what point are we just making it a hat on a hat for that situation? And you were like, you know what? You got a good point.
And it's hilarious that Michael chose that moment to finally go, Jared, it's too many fucking hats.
Yeah.
Jedi, Inquisitor, Bounty Hunter, Assassin, Prize Fighter. Like,
but no chill.
It's one of the fun mental games you play as a GM, trying to make your story work.
Because how many times have I
real Gary Stew,
and it comes with the caveat of, and Michael, shoot this down if this is fucking with your stuff.
Yeah,
shoot this down in a heartbeat, and I won't ask a single question.
And 90% of the time, I make it more butt fuck insane. Recently, you pitched the most reasonable request for season 3, and I said, okay, but what if we do this though? And I pitched you the most goddamn insane thing you've ever heard in your life that we're going to be doing.
Oh yeah. And the only people who know are me, Michael, and Taylor are the only people who know that this.
Oh, you told Taylor! Oh shit!
She knows.
I haven't even told Scotty what this plan is.
Well, don't say it here because you know I want to be honest with you. Take a second, look at these comments, these live chat comments. I love that people are so invested in this story that they want to take the time to be here tonight and I guess embellish in the stories, the behind the scenes stuff, and everything dealing with this micro franchise you created, Michael. And I know Alden has taken the time to get his character design fully visualized.
Yes.
I don't know if these, I don't know if you can pull a picture, but I don't know if these people will be willing to in some way help fund Jerry, Dan, and Jared to have theirs fully visualized as well. I would put up $25 into a pool to have something like this happen for every character. I would put $25 right now if we commission that is a 4-piece of all of them.
Here is after you're done with some house stuff.
Have like the Rebels mural, but it's like the Bastards and stuff.
Let me see that again, Michael, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Jake Bartok, the fucking goat.
Yeah, shout to Jake Bartok. Who did incredible work for Alden. God,
I just want nothing more than for every person. Obviously, not every character that shows up. It almost be impossible, but for every main character.
But definitely Jim.
Yes, Jim would be one
of the
ones that
Jim gets a portrait. Jim gets a portrait. Yeah,
because that's the kind of thing that I think people really want to gravitate towards. Like, I can picture Fabian in my head. I can picture 40 in my head. But like whenever there's the scene in season 2 where it's like, he's just got like this like crudely drawn smiley face on an HK-47 assassin. Like that is just I love that. I would love to see that fully visualized and brought into reality. So if anyone in the chat wants to help support something like that, please voice your opinions. We can maybe pull some stuff together.
Yeah, to have that. We might have to figure something out.
Maybe a Patreon, Michael. I don't know.
I don't know if my stuff's that good or that popular.
Here's an audience.
Michael, I have a Patreon.
Michael, people pay me in Scotty money.
Yes. I know. I'm one of them.
Yeah, I know. That you're a rube.
Taylor, you're so sweet.
I think a lot of people would genuinely invest in a show like this, especially. But Michael, I don't want to pry, but this could be a slight teaser for the next season. Is this next season the finale? Is this it? Is after season? Is there anything else?
Season 3 is the last season.
Oh.
I am open to maybe down the line, maybe doing like a one shot that's like post campaign or something like that. But
yeah,
generally, I think season 3 is going to be. Actually, you know what? just as a little tease, why don't I go ahead and play the intro for season?
Oh, I knew it was
I don't
coming.
know this.
I knew it was
Hold
coming.
on.
Wait,
No way.
Scotty and Jerry, have you guys not seen this?
No, I have not seen this yet.
I haven't
You
seen
sent
this
it to
yet.
me
I haven't seen
privately
this
to
yet.
terrorize me in the middle of the night.
I forgot. Okay, well, let's play
Oh,
the season
chat.
3 intro. Get
Chat.
ready.
You'll never know what hit you. Won't see me closing in. I'm gonna make you suffer. This how you put me in. I'm underneath your skin. The devil within. You'll never know what hit you.
Are we all dying at the end of this season? I feel like we're gonna be dead at the end of this
Oh
season.
man.
That was
One of the taglines I thought about for season 3 are "No one will survive." So
they're all dead.
Look,
but
Michael.
while we're talking about that, we haven't discussed the intro for season 2 at all, and the Devil Within, which is one of the you'll never know what hit you has sort of become my catchphrase almost.
I love it.
To Jared all the time.
Listen, when you first played that, I was like, this is so over the fucking top, and I love it. You hear something really funny. Here's some really funny, because we started season 2 like around this time last year.
It was around November, yeah.
We're on the close of November.
Mhm.
Wow. Well, I know that October going into November, Taylor and I on a whim were like, let's keep the spooky going. Have you seen any of the Saw movies? I've only seen a couple of them. Oh, let's watch it. So we start watching the Saw movies, and that earworm of a theme song just transfixed me, and it was just so entrenched in those like 2000s new metal sensibilities and sounds. And I'm like, oh man, I love this shit. And I was like listening to a little like Linkin Park and fucking Breaking Benjamin.
That's just my life, dog.
I was like, I love this sound. I want to feel it in my bones. And then you hit us with this like, you'll never know what hit you. And I'm like, and I wish we were able to record like what like the backstage of a StreamYard looks like, because Michael can attest to this. I am just like full headbang.
Oh, we're all dancing usually.
Like,
Damn.
It's so fucking good. And
Michael.
First, the big conversation we can get to here in a second. What were you going to say, Scotty?
Is there a date in mind? Is it like fully fleshed out? I'm trying to pry because I want to know as a friend, but also as our people watching are obviously. Look, Michael, I want you to really read this. People would support a funding to get those images made. I'm just gonna say that. I just think
this stream has really kind of blown me away with the support.
I'm telling you, I think we need to make sure that happens before season 3. We'll pull some money together.
Real quick, Boop. This was something I did actually joke about with, or not even joke about. I've suggested it where like each member of the Basterds includes 3 songs for their character, and I do 3 for whatever NPCs I want, which are mostly going to be the Devil Within, How Villains Are Made, and maybe one other one. Like,
well, I won't. 2 things on the topic of music. First of all, we need to shout out again Eli, who made basically a soundtrack.
Please, Eli, post on Twitter that link so that we can retweet it, because we want to get that shit out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Eli, he started with a Fabian theme. And the thing that I love so much about it, and Taylor brought it up because she knows the answer to this question, but she wanted to hear me talk about it because I was talking about Dimension 20 earlier. Mm-hmm. And how like Fabian Martel is loosely named after my favorite character from Fantasy High, Fabian Aramea Seacaster. And I was like, I'll sneak that in there as a little fun thing. But when Eli started making the music, like Fabian's theme has a like fantasy sound to it. Like it has a lot of those like kind of stringy, fluty type things. And Eli did this amazing thing. And again, he tweets this out. We need to share it. because he worked in these different Star Wars leitmotifs into all of the character themes.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are really specific and very particular. You know, some of them are way more on the nose, like Fabin's. Like as the song is kind of building towards a crescendo, it hits it hits the Force theme. Like it's just so wistful and kind of mournful, and then it just hits like everything else comes out, and it's just do 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 do. And he played it for me, and I wept.
Mhm.
He played it for me, and I wept. It
Jared
just filled my heart
wept.
with so much joy.
Shortest verse in the Bible. Yeah.
Which is actually not true, depending on the translation. Job 3:2 in some
I
translations
know.
says he
but
said.
I know.
But with the
I've read
music
it.
thing, we've talked about this kind of privately. Do we want to kind of talk about like the non-Star Warsy theme songs? Because we've talked a lot about like if Ionized Bastards did what Star Wars doesn't do and put like not Star Wars music in it, like what is everybody's kind of theme song?
Yeah.
And that's a conversation that I have found endless insight from.
Yes. What were some of the theme songs we chose even for each character?
Mine was Ball with the Ball by Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
But specifically the version from this year's RNC.
Yes.
Yeah. We were like
Did
five.
he do Ball to Wop?
There were like 15 people around clapping. You hear them on the mic and stuff. You know?
Yes.
Well, if I'm gonna start, I'll talk about The Devil Within as the theme for the season because
Please.
Initially it was just like, oh, this inspires paranoia, and then it's to make you think, oh, this song is actually about salvage. You know, The Devil Within is him in Orox's body, and you know his plot of revenge against you. It's also really about Vera and how she infiltrated the Doxo Syndicate using Damali armaments as a front. All this. It was really a layered song, and really that listening to that song back in February of last year, I think is when I first heard it. It inspired, like that's what helped me come up with Vera as a character.
I'm sorry, Scotty made a really funny Kanye joke in the chat.
Anyway, no, I agree with you, Michael. That theme song, though I had listened to the whole song with you, I believe we listened to it together when you came to Louisiana.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is that song, every time it played before a new episode of season 2,
It gets you pumped, man.
It gets me so nervous.
That's why I used the piano version for season 3.
Yes, now it's just even worse.
Gotta up the stakes, baby.
It could be a funeral dirge.
An excellent song.
episode.
I never heard it before, and it really does. It's super effective because even it doesn't. Who ends up saying the line?
Salvage is the one who says,
okay, that's what I thought.
Know what hit you.
Yeah, so I love that he.
Which
said
was an
it.
improvised moment. I did not plan
No
that, but in the
way.
moment I was like, it feels so right. I have to do it.
That's awesome.
Michael, everything you said about Vera and the song is beautiful. I'm sorry, I got really distracted by Scotty quoting Bound.
No, don't apologize, buddy.
What
We've
got
got
me
big
was
apologize
tonight.
I read it in
for
Ye's
Scotty being
voice.
Scotty.
I read it in Ye's voice, and that is what like fully took the wind out of me. You tired? I'm tired. You tired?
Jared wept. Sorry.
And hey, who knows? Maybe that song will be important to Fabian in the next season.
But yeah, what other songs did we come up with?
Jerry, you had one for 4D, and I can't remember what it was, but I remember
Did
everybody in that conversation.
Because I can't remember.
Oh,
I know Alien Superstar is the one that we've jokingly said for Thalbor.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one. I like that.
Just wanna do. Yeah. Oh yeah. all I can think about. when I hear
Best
that song.
friend was it? People, let me tell you about my best friend. Was that one?
That was one of them. I think Mr. Blue Sky at one point, and we all.
Oh,
were like,
yeah.
Mr. Blue Sky's a
That
good
was
one.
it. I remember that.
If a more serious, I guess is there's a song that I really like. It's about like from like a parent's perspective kind of a thing. It's a Wyatt song parentheses your name. I think that's a good like it has a lot of the vibes that I kind of put into 40 and everything. The childlike wonder.
Dare to be stupid.
Dare to be
is a fucking
stupid.
Great one. I know for Fabian, I'm so predictable. Mine was "Pray for Me," Weeknd and Kendrick Lamar from the Black Panther soundtrack.
Oh, that's good.
You know, because it is especially predictable. Kendrick's verse, because like a lot of it is just so much about this idea of just realizing that you have been born into a life where you are not going to stop fighting ever. And there's this like longing moment towards the end of Kendrick's verse where it's like, you know, who needs a hero? You be the hero. And it's like, I think this song is about Fabian Martel.
Yeah.
That and The Boxer was another one that again is just very much that like kind of
good.
Jared said a song that isn't a rap hit.
I'm impressed. The Boxer.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that one. That's a good one.
So one of the other ones I had for salvage, another song, is the song "Stay Dead" by Aviators, which is a song inspired by The Legend of Zelda that I've made Scotty listen to before.
I love that song.
And it's written from Ganondorf's perspective. I'll read off some of the lyrics. Go ahead, bury me, I will not stay dead. Hold me down, take my breath, I will thrive instead. Cheat the game, break my stride, you'll see me again. Like the plague, I will spread, because I won't stay dead.
Damn, it's good. I love that.
More lyrics later on. Fused with power, strong of will, guided hands fail you still. All your might gone to waste, I will strike, leave no trace. None can rise in my stead, so why don't you just stay dead? That like level of like hate and malice.
And don't worry, baby, we're gonna make it stick this time. With the "Pray for Me," the first sentence on Rap Genius is like exactly what I was talking about. "Pray for Me" preaches loyalty, sacrifice, and redemption, with both artists taking on the voice of a despondent hero, as like the description there. But oh god, I haven't used this on a desktop in so long. I don't know what I'm doing. Hold on. I have not opened this website in such a long time. But like Kendrick's verse is like, I fight the world, I fight you, I fight myself, I fight God, just tell me how many burdens left. Like shit like that. I was like, oh yeah, like yeah, and that's the thing, is like this is one of my favorite songs. Like I listen to the Black Panther soundtrack all the fucking time. It is a no skips album, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But also, like, Zusa's song is "Tomo Arigato, Mr. Roboto."
Nice, dude. Some stick.
Board broken. But no, the last bit from Kendrick, the "Who need a hero? You need a hero. Look in the mirror. There go you hero." And then the verse ends with "Mass destruction and mass corruption. The souls of suffering men clutching on deaf ears again. Rapture is coming. It's all prophecy. And if I got to be sacrificed for the greater good, then it's what it's got to be." That I was like, and I remember, like, I just heard this like after Ionized Basterds was a thing, and I was like, oh, write this down.
Well, we'll have to make a full playlist soon
Yes.
with contributions from everyone, because I want to get that out there, because this is really an interesting piece of conversation, because really things like music often do help me in that creative process, and really do, like, I solidified the plot of season 2 based on The Devil Within and the song "How Villains Are Made" by Natalie Duke. You know, certain lines in that really stood out to me and helped create the character of Vera. And what else have we got to talk about that we haven't touched on yet?
I have a question for you.
What's your question for me?
So just because I know it's a thing that gets joked about often in this space about like, oh no, the party just sprinted past a plot hook or a thing or a theory or an idea. Are there any like, is there anything like, I know for example, like I accidentally broke the Halex fight by not being an idiot at the beginning and trying to bum rush her.
Oh, you didn't break the fight. You
No.
drastically changed the fight in your favor by eliminating one of the tricks she could use. So,
But are there any like plot hooks you had that you either had to like kind of guide us back on track or that we missed altogether?
really, like the hardest I've had to railroad you guys, I feel like, was trying to get to the Strats and 4D's former family. And that was mostly just because I didn't communicate very well that they were on the planet with y'all. Y'all just kind of all assumed that you would have to go somewhere, which is a very easy assumption to make. I don't know why I thought you guys would just assume. It's one of those things where being a DM is so funny because you get so in your own head about your own plots where you forget the basics of how a player's thought process goes. And you're like, oh, why would they assume that? I have given them nothing to indicate that way. I just assumed they would immediately know what's in my head.
Because I know you said we missed some stuff at the very end. Because of
Yeah,
Thalbor
so
with one of the best Thalbor moments with the I do not like, you know, it's like do not assume that white lightsaber is indicative of everybody's moral arc. Like I can never recreate how much fucking sauce Alden put on that line delivery. Like he just tossed it. Taylor, you're playing the hits right now. But like it was just that bit. Yes, Beyonce's bodyguard. It has to stay Beyonce for Thalbor. That is the ship song for Faber. What do you call it? Chartel is what.
Chartel is my ship name for it. It's either Faber, Martine's, Chartel, or fuck, I don't remember what the other one is.
I know you say Chartel because it has Chart in it.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
But what did we
Faber,
miss from salvage at the end?
So there were 3 potential teases for season 2. You got one of them.
Oh, come on. Give it a little. Come on. The people want it, Michael. Come on.
I can't really say what they were because they're plot related, unfortunately.
Oh man!
If you were gonna tell us, Thalbor shot salvage, you were gonna tell us in the first place. Like literally, just tell us as salvage what he would have said. Let the people hear some salvage, like some vintage salvage.
I gotta even remember what these teases were because now it's been a minute. Oh shit. Give me a second. Talk about something else while I consult.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna stay available for about 5 to 10 more minutes because my wife is now texting me bedtime, and I am.
Thank you for coming on this, by the way.
I'm a good little boy, but I want to say we should go around and say our favorite moments from season 2, and I want to see the chat also say it because. Mine. I'd imagine my favorite moments aren't what people are expecting, and usually people, when they're involved with the thing, feel like they have a favorite moment that it really sticks to them. That is not my favorite. My favorite moment was, I believe, it was the very last episode of the season, whenever Fabian finally gets knocked out, and what was the exact line Thalbor had to like the really sweet. He says,
He says something like, that's my best friend, and that's his scream that kills Drock.
I teared up, and I saw Jared's face go. It was like the most endearing thing. It was beautiful. That was the moment. That was my favorite moment from season 2. That's the part that made me tear up. I was literally like doing dishes, and I was like, oh, that's good. That's really good. And then
Literally,
also 4D's first curse words were hilarious. I was texting Jerry behind the scenes because I was in the back of house.
Scotty was giving me some things to say and stuff too. Like we were kind of collaborating on that a little bit.
Oh, I love that shit.
I will say on that, Eli said earlier that he feels like that was written into the show. That was not written in. That was just something that
No.
happened that night.
Yeah.
Naturally.
That was just magic, just
The
natural.
like, let's
Um,
damn this ass up, or like,
Yeah.
let's go
Yeah, he's
fuck.
doing a-
Like,
No,
He's
yeah,
just
damn
it's
this
let's
ass-
fuck.
let's
Is my
fuck.
favorite.
Let's fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, on screen on Basterds is the only time you'll ever hear Alden Diaz actually admit that he loves Jared.
True.
Yes, that's it. That is it.
That's all.
That's the only time he'll ever actually admit it.
Ever.
It's in character.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite moments too, Scotty. I'm a
Yeah.
little biased that the salvage reveal that he is Aurochs Ryza is another one of my favorites. It's specifically like I had a shot loaded up for a while when he gets to Thobor by saying how's pre.
Yeah.
Because Thobor, even at the start of the season, he's like, oh, are we still doing this? He's not a threat anymore. Isn't he just like a 1-year-old now? Like completely dismissive of all of that. And then just oh shit. He knows about pre-poke. This threat is way more real and way closer to home than I thought it was.
Yep.
That rude awakening for him was it was very gratifying for me.
It was gratifying for me because I learned all the wrong lessons and realized that the more paranoid I am, the closer I actually get. Because I was in the middle of my shift at my old job when I texted the Ionized Basterds group chat, and I was basically like, I'm going to sound crazy, but follow me for a moment. And I was like, what if Aurochs Ryza is actually salvage? And nobody said anything. And I was like, well.
And I texted Scotty a screenshot
Yep.
like 5 minutes later being like, he's 100% right.
He nailed it. He nailed it. He nailed it.
Listen, Jared's Paranoid Delusions Corner. It's not healthy to be there mentally, but you will be right about
Okay.
your
Yep.
favorite RPG show.
One of the teases I was going to give for season 3 is one that I'm glad I didn't give because it's a direction I'm not going anymore.
Oh, good.
When you were asking me about this, Scotty, before season 2 ended, I would venture a guess to say I had season 3 about 75% outlined.
Mm-hmm.
We're down to 30% now because a very small moment Jared had made me go, my plot doesn't work anymore. And I think in a good way, like I think I can come up with something
For the better. Yeah.
And so I scrapped a big chunk of what I had planned. And when we do a post season 3 discussion, I can say what that was. But
oh, man. Well,
yeah.
Michael, with this being the final season, too, is there any other intentions for like a series beyond Bastards? Or will there be like offshoots of Bastards where 4D goes on an adventure? Like, is there anything in mind?
I think I'm open to one shots, either like the party reunites after some time or something like that, or like one of the characters joins a different group of bumblefucks for a one-off. You know,
Oh, okay.
That's possible. I'm open to ideas. Obviously,
Maybe we all just live happily ever after.
But
together as a family.
You know, we haven't fully announced what the post Bastards thing. Do we want to show our hand a little bit, or do we want to?
I think if people
want
are
to talk about
this
what's
tonight, this is the only time you can tease them with it until we get to the season 3 discussion, which might be another year from now. So
yeah, you're right.
I think taking the time to reveal it would be pretty cool.
So, we post season 3 of Bastards, we're gonna probably shake up the cast a little bit, and then we're gonna do a different RPG series. We're gonna go back a little bit. We're gonna go back to the High Republic, motherfuckers.
That is it, dude. Look at that beautiful tattoo.
But yeah, we'll probably also be switching game systems too. More details on that are to come. But like I said, it'll be a while before we get to any of that because we got some season 3 to go with. And also, real quick to answer this question from a few minutes ago. Yeah, that was supposed to be a combat encounter. And
that was such a good moment.
Really cool.
I love that moment.
And you guys got a new ally out of it. You lost your neutral status with Goru, but hey, you gained a Lasat bounty hunter as an ally. So
I just so badly want to get like that shot in Guardians 3 where they're all filing into the High Evolutionaries like capital ship, where it is just the bastards and all of their bumblefuck friends that they've recruited along the way, where it is just Fabian, Thabor, 40, Zuzo,
Jim.
Zarek, Jim,
Golly.
Golly, fucking
Golly is my favorite like weird pull that like came back as an ally.
That's another like, because we were talking about favorite moments. Like I have like favorite moments story wise and favorite moments like I pissed my pants laughing.
Alden's now I know who Golly is.
I know who Golly is. Like, again, it is the almost Jack Nicholson voice of I know who Golly is. But in the event anybody at home has forgotten, who's Golly?
So good.
I know you guys were also very enthralled with Clyde Damale as a character. Like,
Yes.
Jared was like, "Can he come with us?"
Oh God, I fucking love Clyde.
It was like what? It was immediately after he said, "Can he go with us?" that he like bought the farm so damn hard.
Yep.
I listen. Clyde Damale is Star Wars' answer to fucking Florida Man, and just like Clyde Damale, if he was from Earth, he's either from Florida or Latrobe, and there are no two other places he could be from.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Like it is just it's just his affect. Just he was just one of those people who just says shit. And I love that in a character where he's just saying words. Like Clyde Damale felt like the Star Wars version of Dracula Flow. Like, just this shit ain't nothing to me, man. I only fuck with fluorescent lights. I need to see everything. Like, that is who Clyde Damale was.
Also, I'm glad that Eli said this. Because goddamn, I had some good Star Wars names this season. I don't like to toot my own horn too much, but goddamn, I had some good Star Wars names. Radel Taro and Marcelo Guster being the crux of the season. Fucking love it.
Great.
Halex Slifer was a reuse name because that murder mystery one shot I talked about. Halex was just like an assassin in that, and so I repurposed that character and that name for this.
We just need Blasto Dildar to show back up.
I was literally, Scotty and I share one half of a brain cell each. I was literally thinking, I wonder, I got to go back and watch because I can't remember what the hell I did with Blasto Dildar. Yeah. We should just Blasto Dildar should just travel to the High Republic or something.
Jerry, what was your favorite moment of the season? I don't know if we definitively heard what yours was.
I think that my favorite moment of the season was just kind of, it was the moments of like the Bastards becoming more of like a family along the way here.
Yes.
Just like every moment that we had, like I loved seeing what I could get like Jared and Alden to do for 40 and stuff. Like,
well, there's like a small moment.
The fatherly advice was so wonderful.
There's a small moment after Loxy dies where Thabor gets you to go check on Fabian, and you not suddenly go like, Thabor wants to know how you're doing. Like,
yeah. But just like that, I mean, like, I think a big moment too is you can't fucking beat Thabor shouting, "That's my best friend," and killing the fucking Mandalorian. That was just absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's also something really great about like the fact that it has not only become a joke for us, the players and the audience, but even for the characters within the narrative, that Thabor can't fight worth a damn.
Yes.
That that has become so very much the joke that cut to the end of season 2 where Thabor Sheems Esquire killed Amanda fucking Lorian.
Yep.
Like he put down a culture of people that are Jedi hunters by trade.
Yep.
And he liquefied one.
God,
like,
so good.
His brain is pudding now, as you so elegantly said.
That is its own great arc of like, and again, it's such a shame that Alden isn't here.
Should have had his helmet.
Dan as well. But just on the topic of Alden or of Thabor, is like that like the arc of Thalbor getting to have this very subtle, nuanced, like, because it's not magic like it is with Fabian. It is not
Mhm.
like I am choosing paths of magic to walk that will change my soul. It is Thalbor having a way more human, way more normal and relatable version of like it's easier to be a prick
Yeah.
and it's really hard.
And the one
to
time I
not
was
be
a good
prick.
person, I regret it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just oh god, it's so good, and you know Dan has done such an amazing job with Zuzo. That again, just giving him his flowers because he's not here.
I agree.
Like
Yeah.
what Dan has done with Zuzo is really fun because like he has injected a level of pathos into a character who, and it would not have been bad had Dan made this decision to just let Zuzo continue to be
Yeah,
like,
there's nothing.
because the term bumblefuck is getting thrown around a lot, and I'm proud of the fact that I've injected that into the vernacular for this conversation. But like, Dan could have kept Zuzo at just a baseline level of comedy, and had moments of just instinct of going pathos, like out of nowhere, that
Yeah.
completely humanized Zuzo. And
The
yeah.
Goru connection with his backstory, he came up with on the fly. He
middle
worked
of the
with that,
episode,
That was
with me
incredible.
in the moment. I was like, oh, this is perfect, actually. and it actually makes
perfect.
Goru a way more relevant character. Yeah, Dan's got a good gut instinct for that. He always knows how to throw curveballs at me in combat with his fucking tech powers, because I'm like, what the fuck is he throwing at me now? He killed the death chemist
always-
fight. He fucked me on that one. I'm not gonna lie.
He's always coming up with like some like just bonkers off the wall thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
Holden, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Incredible work with Thalbor, because
Mm.
much like you, Jared, I almost called you Fabian because character bleed is
Jesus.
happening in my brain. But when he came up with him, it was just, so we had just finished Better Call Saul, and so it's like, oh yeah, we'll do something Saul Goodman-esque. And so it was, something very inspired by that. It wasn't supposed to have a whole lot of depth to it. It wasn't supposed to have an arc. And then here we are later where he's screaming someone to death over having, he thinks, killed his best friend. Like, it's really incredible. And I look forward to people's arcs in season 3. Speaking of which, where do you guys think your characters will be in season 3? What do you want out of your arcs? If you wanna give
I
want to
do prediction because I have no stakes in the game. I have no
Yeah,
stakes in the game.
please.
I want to hear Scotty's predictions. I want to hear all your predictions in the chat too. So,
So obviously, I really like where Fabian ended up with the whole lightsaber bleeding moment. That was like one of the coolest things in the world, where it went white. That's something I'm really stoked for. Look at Michael's face. If I were to predict anything, I predict that at least one bastard dies. I just predict at least one. Just one. I don't know who it's going to be. I hope it. Who I hope it is, and I hope it's not 4D. I hope it's not Fabian. But if Thalbor were to go, that would be like one of the most brutal deaths in a Star Wars history, because I love Thalbor. But if Zuzo went, it would have to be almost as shocking as like Snoke dying. I know that's not the best example, but like it needs to be something to be like, what? And it has to be something that I'm very eager to see, like what it would do to the bastards after. Because either that's a kind of thing that brings people together or makes them band apart. So, I don't.
Is anybody here familiar with the fart buckle meme?
What a weird thing to say. No, of
So,
course
not to interrupt and ignore whatever the fuck Jared said, but Scotty, just so you know,
okay.
I've never had a player character die in an RPG I've run.
Well, this dude up here almost did.
He went down.
The people on this side of the screen almost died.
Jerry almost went down. He didn't almost die. You went down.
Yeah.
You didn't necessarily almost.
it was
die.
scary.
I don't know. I think he almost died.
I've had close calls. I've had players that are down to 2 failed death saves before they get picked back up by something.
Ooh.
I've never had anyone die in an RPG. But anyway, continue, Jared.
No, so it's actually this very beautiful meme that was like on like D&D TikTok, where they were like talking about like, you know, you pick up this goblin NPC that you were never really supposed to recruit. This character didn't have a name, so the DM went, fuck it, their name is Fart Buckle. And you've played 4 years of a campaign.
I've heard that joke, but with Boblin the Goblin.
Yeah, so it's Boblin the Goblin, Fart Buckle was the one being used in this case. And it's like the DM going, okay, this is our last session for this campaign. And in the moment where the party would have been annihilated for some type of like crazy super attack by the bad guy, Fart Buckle dives in front of it like Fart Buckle help friends and absorbs the wave and saves the party's life, giving his own in their name. So like, I don't want anybody to die, but I could totally see Zuzo or 4D having a Fart Buckle moment. I could totally see a Fart Buckle moment for either of them.
Eli, to answer this question, Sage was always going to come back in season 3 because I guess I can say this about season 3. At least what I initially thought the plan was going to be, and to an extent it still is season 3 is what will solidify Salvage as the big bad of the show. The plot of season 3, more or less, is Salvage's revenge on the Bastards specifically. It's that he wants to break all 4 of you before he focuses on the rest of the galaxy. He wants you to hurt because of how you fucked with him, because your very existence defies his philosophies, which I've discussed with Jared. Salvage is a person who believes that, the galaxy is unjust, it's cruel, that's just how it fucking is. And so really he's still stuck on the fact that you guys came back for Thawbor. He's like, why the fuck did you do that? It doesn't make any goddamn his mind is incapable of understanding it. Like, the bonds that you formed go so against his nature. I forget what we were originally talking about before I got distracted by that train of thought, but
predictions and such.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously Jared and I have a plan for something going into season 3 that we can't really talk about, but
I won't say what,
your secrets.
But the chat has brushed near what it relates to quite a few times, but don't quite know the angle we're gonna.
They'll never know what hit
them.
I don't know shit as the usual. So.
And for what Jared said he wanted when he gave requests for season 2, his one request was, I want a lightsaber duel. To which my reaction was, be careful what you wish for, motherfucker.
I won.
Did you?
I won.
In a 1v1? She won.
In a 1v1, I got tied up by a Mandalorian, so fuck that. And I don't have to hand it to her because I won. That's a dismemberment pun. Jerry, what are your predictions?
I just really hope that no one dies. I seriously have no idea, because like I'm pretty scared going into this one because of just what I feel, the kinship, the mirror. I think we've talked a little bit about this before, how 4D and Salvage are like, they're like the light and the dark when you in a way, as droids who have,
and when you came up with 4D, you didn't know about Salvage. You came up with that completely independently,
right?
And it created this really interesting parallel. And you almost made 4D a Magna Guard too, which was extra funny.
Right. Well, then the clearly superior design made its way to my brain. But I don't know. I foresee that there might be a little. I don't know. I think that Salvage is going to be pretty pissed about. I think the Salvage hates 4D the most, almost in some ways.
I think there's definitely an extent to which he
or just looks down on him. a little
So-
I think
extra.
it's a disgust more.
At
than
the end
hate.
of season
Yeah.
1, he has that moment where he is dying, quote unquote, and he speaks to 40 and he drops those lines that came back in season 2 of they'll walk on you, ignore you, throw you out like yesterday's garbage. It's not even like a warning, like don't end up like me, kid. It's more of just like a this is your fate, fuck you. Like and the fact that you're like, oh no, they're my friends. He's like, you naive piece of shit. Fuck you. No. Like it's a defiance against that what he views as naivety. Like it's so neat. I love it. I love it so much. Because
It's really
it
fun.
is so easy, like at first glance, to look at Salvage and be like, oh, he's just a droid who hates organics, and so he just wants to kill all organic. It's so much more than that.
So much more.
There's that line in the creepypasta from last year where he's like, I'm not doing this because I hate you. I'm doing this because I hate.
That's one thing I don't think I don't think Bloom's aware of that one. Or
As I was
going to
say,
fans. If Bombad cast every year, Jerry's brainchild. We've been doing it since we started. It was the it's Bombad
Star Wars
creepypasta.
Bombad creepypasta. Yeah.
So,
so Michael wrote
there's a Salvage one.
Coolest stories ever. We did like a reading where like I got to like play one of the characters in there, and
Jared narrated, and the three of us did character voices.
Yes, exactly.
And, oh my god, it is impressive. And Michael is very he's very like oh no, I don't know how good of a writer I was. We all kind of did this. Michael is a fantastic fucking writer. And this was honestly it's
I gotta start writing
chilling
something.
parts of the most chilling parts of Bastard lore, and you can go check that out. That's our last year's
I'm getting it.
Bombad
So
creepypasta episode.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I think it's
seriously,
like an hour
seriously
in.
is I think if you're a big Bastards fan, you don't need to miss that one because it's a huge little piece of Bastards lore.
Yeah, and it doesn't do anything like revolutionary in terms of like Salvage's backstory, but I think it's
adds flavor.
I mean, it is pretty freaking awesome.
And it does add
really
one more
is.
parallel to Fabian, as we talked about.
that Salvage also was a prize fighter of sorts. That it was that like, all I know about myself is that I can fight.
I would love this. So something like that. You shouldn't have killed my mom and squished my Walkman kind of line or something,
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I love who was that Full Metal Spartan? Again, we were always talking about non-Star Wars music. 40 getting a montage of beating the shit out of. Also, call out to Full Metal Spartan with the Imagine Underlings of Salvage being called Scions of Salvage. Love that. I just have this image in my mind of 4D just beating the absolute dog shit out of the Scions of Salvage with Mama Said Knock You Out just blaring with 40 using Salvage's electro staff. Just
fuck yeah.
fucking,
That's what that's another thing that's huge that we didn't really talk about is that like you took that from him and gave it to me in that last fight to make sure that I was taken care of, and just the significance that I feel like that has towards like, I mean, just again the parallels between 40 and Salvage,
and I think I also like to point out constantly how funny it is that Thobor has to constantly look at this weapon that almost twice killed him. That's just like hanging on the mantle in the Bastard, just
right.
In the same way, like, but it's cool because I love that idea of the trinkets and stuff. Because for a minute there, I was gonna be like, oh, Fabian took Salvage's head, and it's like the Magna Guard head and the Electro Staff, and I like that it's just now the Electro Staff and now like Jax Caelan's lightsaber, like both on the wall, in the ship. But also, I put the link for that creepypasta in the chat.
Awesome, thank you.
So if anybody wants to check that out, please do. It's really good.
Unless we have anything major we want to add.
I have some predictions.
Okay, yeah, please.
Okay. So it's like half prediction, half spitballing. I am very curious as to what Salvage's final form will be. It's something I'm very excited
That's
about.
cool.
You know,
I didn't think about that yet.
Because
Yeah.
you got to figure, like, Salvage has his like intermediary body, you know, kind of his like backup with Aurochs Ryza. But we don't know where Salvage is broadcasting from. Like, we don't know where the like mother computer that has his consciousness is.
Oh, I love this.
So that's a big thing. Like, for us to actually defeat Salvage for once and for all, we have to eliminate his ability to resurrect himself.
And part of what I will say, this is something that's never been fully discussed, but it's not really like spoiler-y, is Salvage is very specifically projecting his consciousness from a home base, like you're saying. He's not duplicating himself.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't give a fuck about that. Because if he makes another of him, there's going to be conflict between the two of them. So that's never going to work. So he has to specifically project his mind into something else.
Yeah, which is what I kind of figured it was. So like, we have to stop that. I also love the idea of Salvage returning, just like in multiple bodies, because again, I think it is another beautiful inversion on like the Bastards have all had to let their old self die to be born again, and Salvage literally keeps resurrecting himself and doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over for 1,000 fucking years. Like, Salvage has been around as long as the Sith have been dead. Like, just to put that in like a little like time frame window for people to think about as fans.
That's a good point.
Like, that is how long Salvage has been dying and bringing himself back to just keep doing the thing that makes him miserable. And he by now has had enough time to go, this isn't working, and change, and he hasn't.
Yep.
He keeps allowing himself to be reborn without changing anything. And I think that is another really crucial difference between Salvage and the Ionized Bastards.
It's caught in the cycle, man.
Yeah. So I think so, because especially the season leaves off on this idea that Salvage wants to make himself force sensitive, which is terrifying.
For a number of reasons.
For a number of reasons.
Because you got to think about what that might do to him too.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I'm so excited for that, because I have nothing but trust in Michael. Like, in a writer that I didn't
100%.
know as well as I know him personally, I would be skeptical of the idea of a droid consciousness finds a way to give itself the power of the Force. I'm really excited because I know Michael well enough to know that Salvage is not going to be great at the Force.
Yeah.
I know Michael well enough to know that Salvage is going to be using a facsimile of what it looks like when the Force is used in combat, and could not and would not ever be able to tap into it the way that, despite all his faults, Fabian can. Like, at his core, like, and that's been an important thing for me with Fabian, is that in these moments of him having his whole worldview challenged for the first time in a long time, he has fallen back just as much as he's fallen back on those dark side tendencies. He has had moments of like, trust in the Force, don't use your eyes, use your feelings, you know, feel, don't think, trust your instincts, where he's been having these like Jedi impulses kick in that Salvage has no fucking frame of reference for. And that, you know, it is a weapon versus a philosophy that I think is going to be really cool. But I'm just so curious as to whether or not Salvage's final form is a human body, or if it's like a full cyborg hybrid. There's a part of me that really doesn't want our final dance with Salvage to not be talking like this, bastards. You know, like, I kind of like, we got a taste of it. Like, that was something that I've not stopped thinking about since the Death Chemist fight episode. Is that when Salvage was broadcasting to the Death Chemist, he had his old voice back.
Ooh, that's true.
That is something I have never stopped thinking about. Which, and if you catch it in the episode, you catch it in the next episode, that's one of the first things I bring up to Donrick, is he's Scottish. I heard him speak and he was Scottish again. Which means either he has a new body, or wherever he's transmitting from, he is not communicating as Aurochs Ryza.
Yeah.
Wherever he's communicating from, it is the original the swamp, whatever. So I'm very curious about Salvage's final form. I think one of our first misadventures is going to be to rescue Prepoke from something.
Huh.
It's been teased. It's been brought up too much. Prepoke is in imminent fucking danger.
Mhm.
He's safe with the New Republic. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
The incredibly capable, always reliable New Republic.
So that's something I'm curious about. I think one of the other big ones for me is, and this is so much a prediction, so much as I just want to end it on this. For me, one of the scariest things Michael has ever told me,
Oh
because
Jesus.
I talked earlier in the episode about like Argo Kalen and how like Fabian
Jesus.
Ionized Bastards
Salvage-y.
adapted into a movie where Salvage is played by Drew McIntyre. Don't shoot up my skirt, you pervert. The kill, but this because I brought it up, because like Fabian doesn't know if Argo Kalen actually got away from the Grand Inquisitor. He watches Argo steal a ship and he watches it take off, but it's happening during like a crazy windstorm on Utapau. So it's thunder, it's lightning, and it's getting shot at. Fabian does not know what happened to Argo. He has no way of knowing. He has not heard from him. He's not to this day. To this day, Fabian Martel does not know if that sacrifice was actually worth it. And I told Michael, I was like, you do what you feel is right for this story and how it should end for Fabian. I was one of my favorite things about like the player relationship or the player DM relationship with Michael is that I'd like to think I'm pretty good at going, here's an idea, fuck me up with it. And just kind of throwing the ball to Michael.
Which is the best thing a player can do for a DM, for the record. I love doing it with my DMs too.
I try. I am a D&D power bottom. But I thought I was going to get a bigger laugh. Fuck you. Michael laughed. But I told Michael, I was like, I would like to know. I would like for Fabian to have an answer. I would like for this story to end and Fabian know. And Michael said the scariest thing he's ever said to me. And he said, and I quote, "Oh, comma, don't you worry. I've known how Fabian's story ends for a very long time now."
Shit. That's a good thing to end it on. That is.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll give a couple teases as we round out this stream too. There's 2 teases I want to give. One is, while y'all may think the plot of season 2 is kind of over and done, a lot of that shit's carrying over into season 3.
Man.
Y'all ain't done with Doxos and all this shit. And the other tease I'll give, I've said before that originally I had the intention of no canon characters showing up in Basterds. And then I brought the Great Inquisitor in that flashback. So I was like, okay, there's one. We're up to a possibility of up to 3.
That's a go Tigers.
Can we do it like a quick round of like characters we think might show up?
Sure, fuck it. Why not? We'll round out with that.
Lando, that's mine.
Oh, okay, Lando, Jerry.
I'm gonna go with Jiao Yaoza.
Nice, dude.
Okay. I think it would be really funny to make Thalbor Sheem sit in the same room as Mon Mothma.
Oh, Jesus.
I think that would be deeply funny for Mon Mothma to have a moment where she's like, oh, so it is the same Thalbor Sheems.
Him?
I thought it was just another guy with that name who was somehow saving the galaxy for a year now. And it's you, the guy who like I saw in court try to like get Imperials off of like charges of genocide and shit. Din is a fun one. I'm gonna throw I also think
Luke
Fabian
Skywalker?
needs a romantic partner. I think it might be Luke. I think
He
it
is
might
Luke
be Luke.
Skywalker.
Dude, that'd be
One,
fucking awesome.
that
That would be so awesome.
And the reason I say that, and it's so crazy, when I first pitched Fabian to Michael, that we like built the character, and then the conversation immediately went to the place of what would happen if Fabian met Luke. And the answer to that question is so fucking different than it was a year ago.
They fuck.
And I think that would be crazy for Fabian to like end his story by meeting Luke in some way. I think or not end his story, but that be like a thing that happens. Because like what's that conversation like? Like because like you gotta think about it like from Fabian's perspective. Like I know it's like kind of like a old hat. I love when Star Wars is read fucking opinion anymore. But you got to remember, like, let's look through the season 2 finale of Mando through Moff Gideon's eyes. That guy went into the same room as Darth Vader and the Emperor, and he's the only one that walked out of it.
Yep.
And to everybody else in the galaxy's knowledge, Luke Skywalker fucking killed Darth Vader.
Oh my god, dude! Look at Buck's. Buck's prediction's the greatest. Joe,
Yes!
holy
We need
shit!
Baby
Wait a
Joe
minute.
does need to come on this
I would
show.
He
love
might need to be
that.
a guest. He might. Need
I've
to
said
be a
before,
guest.
Joe Organa played Jax Kalin in my mind. But no, so like just imagine wait, Taylor's was so good. Salvage is a redeemed mod from Book of Boba. But no, I just love the idea of like Fabian meeting Luke and being like, I owe you a drink. Why? Because you killed Darth Vader. I owe you one. And then Luke getting to have that conversation with Fabian and be like, oh no, he was actually Anakin Skywalker and he turned his back to the light side and he died a hero. And how I think that would kind of be a mind fuck for Fabian, but one that like is kind of comforting for Fabian. Where it's like, well, if that motherfucker could do it, if tall, dark, and mechanical breathing. So yeah, I think those are my predictions. I'm calling Mon Mothma. I will actually shit my pants if it's Luke Skywalker.
You'll never know what hit you.
Oh, what a good way to end this.
And
Oh,
on that
beautiful.
note, I think we're gonna round out the stream
Somber
here.
music plays.
Thank you so much for joining, especially you, Scotty, seeing how I feel like you, as having just become a fan of the show through your involvement of it and your insights into all this. Thank you so much for coming on. Jerry, of course, that's always lovely to be with you. And I love that you're a
Always
part of
lovely to be
my
with
show. And Jared is my favorite
love being
type
a part
of
of it.
player who obsesses about this shit as much as I do. So on that note, we're going to play that season 3 intro one more time. And we'll see y'all here in a couple months.
You'll never know what hit you. Won't see me closing in. I'm gonna make you suffer. This how you put me in. I'm underneath your skin.